My topic, in a nutshell, is to just discuss with you a few international opportunities that do exist, just in case someone would like to put on their CV a certain conference, short course, master's or PhD, attained from an international institution. But also before I do that, I will be discussing with you some of the concepts that have probably been covered in the last 3 days to see how it fits with the topic of international opportunities. Trends. When we talk of trends, it means every year or after every 2-3 years or so, some experts, usually during IFRA or international conferences, tend to look at what are the recurring themes for the libraries, and sometimes they would even put them as far as academic libraries or school libraries. So currently, what is trending is research data management and the open access resources. That is a trend that has refused to go. And the integrated library systems. We all know about discovery platforms, the likes of LibCharts and the likes of LibGuide. The other trend is digital literacy, which of course is a component of information literacy. That is also one of the trends which is important for us. And in addition, we must keep the community that we serve safe from being victims of predatory journals or conferences, so that's also a trend. Recently, there is a big debate regarding data science, data visualization, artificial intelligence. And the colleagues, some experts from the computer world, are trying also to make presence in that field. But should you even look at the definition of artificial intelligence, even in informatics, data science, you will realize that trend is part of us. Scholarly communication, digital scholarship. They are flowing. Like in America, you hardly find any institution or even a library without makerspace or some innovative space where kids or users interact with technology. I think I've mentioned artificial intelligence, but the other trend is the need for measuring the research outputs through metrics such as bibliometrics or cytometrics. Digital repositories. In a nutshell, these are attempts made by librarians to collect scholarly output of a given institution and preserve it for posterity. It's a big thing out there because we talk of knowledge management portals, but rethink institutional repositories and digital repositories. Some digital repositories do exist, which are global in nature. Like the first one called CORE, we used to have a very good, powerful repository that was known as Open Door. But it closed business because of some legal issues. And the United Kingdom, through an organization known as JISC, Joint Information Systems Commission, they were gracious enough to provide funding. Now core.ac.uk has everything. When you go there, you type whatever you are looking for, so long as it exists and it is in open source, or open access rather, you'll get it. The other one is NDLTD. It makes an attempt of archiving oral digital theses and dissertations. And strictly speaking, like if you are doing a PhD or even master's, once you get the archived masters, you look at research methods, then you are able to know whether the method you are planning to take, whether it will lead you to somewhere or whether it might be frustrations for the next 5 years or so. Those are just examples of digital repositories. And for Kenya, I forgot to include there, within CRISC, that is Kenya Library Information Services Consortium, we have one repository that archives all the content for Kenya. Open education resources. That portal, that is the URL I've given, is the single one which we usually use to refer to other open education resources. But in a nutshell, these are resources which are available for us to reuse. Of course, we acknowledge the source, but we are free to reuse them, repackage them. But what we do as librarians, because you find out there are millions of resources, we curate so that you pick only resources which are relevant to your institution. The other trend, and this is too sweet, I have to ask you to click on one of the links, is MOOCs, massive open online courses. What happens with the MOOCs, they provide you with opportunities to undertake free courses at your own pace, then you get a certificate. There is a debate that we had way back in 2014, in which case one of the institutions who are among the top providers of MOOCs were maintaining that we cannot ignore MOOCs because assuming someone finished their university 5 years ago, you call them for an interview and the professional development is flat, nothing. The other one comes with 5 MOOCs which are relevant to the interview. Which one would you really think is kind of serious with the profession? Is the one with the MOOCs. So this list where the person who is the pilot has taken us to is showing us a complete list of MOOCs. There is a link there where you search. If you search school libraries, then you're able to see where you can do for free some certification on school libraries, and then that helps you to rebuild your CV. There is a tool where you can Google it, whether MOOCs can be used as a professional development tool for librarians. It's an article by librarians, and the findings were, yes, MOOCs are a professional development tools for librarians, which librarians should take seriously as a way of building themselves. In addition to MOOCs, which we have seen are free, there are some other organizations that give what might not be purely for free, but it is free for people operating from low, middle income countries. Key among them is Cochrane. Within the health sector, which I tend to most of the time serve, we have on top of the rare providers of evidence-based information. I heard the previous presenter talking about evidence-based. So Cochrane. So for you to get expertise in systematic reviews, you just go to Cochrane, you take free certification. I counted as of yesterday, because I've done all the modules, there are about 10. People sitting in other jurisdictions, they pay as much as $3,500 to $5,000 to do those. That's about $500,000. And those courses are available for you for free because we are from LMIC. The other one is Global Health Training Center. That one is good because it gives you some courses offered by Oxford University. And I think for those who like their CVs to have those big names, reading Oxford is something also that gives you certain satisfaction. Now, there is one of the most, I would call him, he is a guru on evidence-based practice. His name is Professor Andrew Booth of Sheffield University. They have done so much work together with the Maria Grant, but at one point, they came up with so many courses using Folio, that is facilitated online learning as a study opportunity. And I do know for sure you have done in the last 3 days some modules or topics on marketing libraries, promoting libraries, and advocacy. In information training, also known as information literacy. Predatory journals, predatory impact factor, predatory conferences. These are publishers who take advantage of the fact that in information world there is money to be made. Then they come and deceive our users to attend conferences which are not real, which are for fee, which earns no value to them, or publish at a fee in journals without any value or impact. Again, we are called upon to advise our users. So it exists, and the way to know them is through clicking the list which is given. There is a gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, but no, his institution, but his name was Bill. Professor Bill was a librarian in one of the universities, I think it's Colorado in America. And it was a big thing such that even some publishers were ganging to take legal suits against him, so he had to pull down his website. But a group of librarians came and they then archived it so that we continue with the information and we continue populating it as a way of keeping our users safe. The other one, which I cannot talk more about because I think it has been preached so much, is information literacy. On IFRA, International Federation of Library Associations, school library guidelines. It will show you when you are teaching information skills or information literacy or digital literacy in your schools, what is expected of you in terms of the outcomes. To the right-hand side, reducing information literacy gap in high school students. I felt that is important for you. It's clickable, or you can Google it, you can write it down. It's a link that I would encourage you to go and consult. Now, information literacy is wide, from academic writing to orientation, how to search for articles, how to critique articles, how to reference, how to remain safe in terms of academic cheating, how to use tools like Turnitin is wide. Again, this will give you a glimpse of that. The other one is measuring research impact. We have got quite a big number on how we can measure that, but the most known ones for measuring the impact of journals is impact factor. And for me, impact factor, which is was started by Eugene, it is important because Eugene founded ISI Thomson, Web of Science, Web of Knowledge. You must have heard about those portals. And being a librarian, and he went on to make such a remarkable, significant innovation, touches me as a librarian. So the key thing is impact factor for measuring journals, founded by Eugene, a librarian. There is a lady called Hashish who came up with another index we call H-index. Is the one we even use for promotion of professors and associate professors. So that is individual-specific index for a scholar. H-index, usually we check that from Scopus, Web of Science, and Google Scholar. And if you cannot get, there is a tool which is open source, known as Publish or Perish. Again, by Hash. It's a big thing out there. Publish all. Now, the other one takes a realization that you can have impact factor, you can have H-index, but some stories, like the story of key, cannot be told through H-index, through impact factor. So we have arithmetrics, which is a measure of if you do a research article or some publication, and it is discussed out there in social media, from Twitter to Facebook. Journalists, some are using your article to publish their papers. Some organizations like UNESCO are using your article to go and come up with the policies. How then do we measure that impact? So we use arithmetrics, which in a nutshell it means alternative metrics. Now, I mentioned about LibGuides. LibGuides can be proprietary, like one by SpringShare. SpringShare. Very important, SpringShare. It costs only $2,000 per year. And over here, I've got a nice LibGuide I developed for a project I'm doing for a school, group of schools. The other ones, for those who are keen on open source, they get something we call Subject Plus. It's not as posh as SpringShare, but it can also be used. Do you mind clicking for us so that we can see this one, please? So typically for $2,000 per year, assuming you are running a website for the library, but there is a lot of corporate CMS, content management system, you use the LibGuide so that you can use your creativity in showcasing your services, your courses, and also the subjects and courses, guides for whatever you are offering. This is a typical project I'm running for a group of schools in some of the most remote places in Pakistan, called Gilgit, Balochistan. And using this LibGuide, I'm able to curate for them, with my team, all the past papers for English, mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics. You can imagine in Kenya we are able to use the same technology, maybe key libraries, To ensure, for example, all the curriculum content for KCSE, KCPE is out there. Then our runners can go to Key Library's website and get it curated. Doing it on the website is very hard. So what you do, you just get the LibGuide plugin, and then you run away with it. A very handy tool. So the next one is, how can librarians support the teachers and other academics in research, developing guides for them, partnering with them when publishing, advising them where to publish, which conferences to attend, helping them measure their impact. The opportunities are massive, isn't it? Huh? Massive. Okay. Those slides which I was running, I just wanted to reconnect to kind of prepare you for the kind of things that when you go to those big conferences, they will repeatedly be discussed, so that once you go there, you may not say, I've never heard that. I will remind you that during my 20-minute session, I mentioned about some of the things which are trading. So for the next 10 minutes or so before we break, I will discuss now opportunities which are there for you. I may not have time to go to each link, but they exist. So the first one is Montesson Center. It is in a University of Illinois, or for those who are from villages like me, University of Illinois. Sawa sawa. But for the Americans, it's University of Illinois. Okay. So now, University of Illinois, they got some good funding, which for the last 15 years or so, every year they get a group of 20 to 30 librarians, take them to a summer school, prepare them to become the next group of leaders. How good is that? During the 1 month summer school, you will be in the high school. High school means like Ivy League. Like the school where Christine teaches is an Ivy League for library science. And then there will be visits to libraries, including a visit to ALA in Chicago. And then from there, you are given a project which they continue monitoring. Then from there, you become a fellow. So being a fellow means forever, you'll have access to their expertise. Whenever there is something you need, you have got someone to call upon, and even your cohort, because you develop a very good bonding with them. I attended this one in 2014, and I can assure you it was worthy my investment. The next one, Harvard, a big name, isn't it? Yes. This is quite expensive, but I must admit, I attended this one last year, and it was a game changer. It is actually the one that made me accept to run for the presidency of Kenya Library Association, because they challenge you. They make you feel like you are sitting on bigger opportunities, and it's the high time you go and make an impact. So again, they take up to 100. Usually they would get about 1,000 or so admissions, then they get about 100. Harvard is a big name because of who they are. And one of the things that I managed, typical of Africans, was to negotiate with Harvard that the curriculum that they used, so long as I acknowledge, I came back with it. So together with Key and the Goethe Institute, when I call for the next summer school, please attend. You'll come out like a Harvard student without the going part, isn't it? Sawa sawa. Now, the other theme I mentioned is bibliometrics and research metrics. It's a big thing, because sometimes when we hear the ranking has come out, number 1 is Harvard, Oxford, California, MIT, and local University of Nairobi, which metrics do they use, and how do we prepare our institutions to be leaders in that? They use a metric we call webnometrics. But to understand those metrics, some institutions, key among them a university in Canada, we call it Western. It used to be called University of Western Ontario, now it's Western. They tend to come up with, again, summer schools where they discuss metrics, research metrics, bibliometrics, cytometrics, and their impact in the higher education sector. So this year, I think in the next 4 weeks or so, it will be kicking off. And in Kenya, 2 librarians, that is Dr. Evelyn Aduvale and I, we shall be attending that one. So keep an eye, but again, after we come back, we shall be happy to come and share the knowledge. So the one I've listed there is for Europe. Europe, they also have a good session they are running. And the other one, towards the bottom side, are key events which are happening globally on bibliometrics. Majority of these events, they charge Americans premium, Europeans premium, but if you are from low middle income country, usually what they want is a good statement of what do you think you'll benefit, and upon coming back, how will that benefit your local community? After that, you get an air ticket, accommodation, and a chance to go and also buy some designer wear in the US, isn't it? Great. Right. I cannot talk more about FL, but it's there for you. Another opportunity for us to access electronic resources. Yesterday, FL partnered with our local colleagues. There was a conference going on issues to do with intellectual property, copyright, and how it affects us as librarians. So keep an eye on FL. IFRA. When I say KLA is the mother of library professions and associations in Kenya, globally the mother of all of us, all the associations is IFRA. So when IFRA puts a statement out there, it becomes a powerful statement that you can use to advise your governments, your institutions, in terms of the guidelines, standards, and what is expected of the profession. So within IFRA, there is a school library section, which I would encourage you to keep an eye on and interact with. And that section also tends sometimes to call for people to participate as being members of that section. And I think in Kenya, I'm happy to report that James Nyambane, our own Nyakudi, is a member of IFRA School Library section. Map of the world, IFRA. I checked for Nairobi, and what surprised me, we keep on saying university libraries, we are leading the show, but we are not, because I realized on the map of the world libraries, we seem to have in Kenya only 68 libraries or so for the universities, and over 40,000 for school libraries. Let's appreciate ourselves. But Purity, because I know you are a champion of that map, my work now is to try and identify where are those librarians and where are those libraries. Because when I call upon a meeting for the Kenya Library Association members, I don't see the 40,000 or so. But I saw they are actually 48,000. So I think we are doing well, but we can do better than that. But I just wonder where they are. So again, you can interact with the map. And the beauty of the map right now, assuming I want to do a policy brief to the government, the map gives me evidence-based data, which I can be able to say within the country, these are the stats, because they are kept by an institution, which is the global, I would call it, organization that represents our profession. For instance, like in the health, researchers or scholars cannot start any research which is meaningful without quoting some figures from WHO, isn't it? Education, sometimes we keep on talking about UNESCO. So for us, it's IFRA. So it's good to note that there is a map that is even indexing, curating Kenyan-based libraries. AFIDIA. The champion of AFIDIA is here with us, Purity. Is equivalent of IFRA, but trying to have an arm, an umbrella that speaks on behalf of Africa Library Associations, and the Purity is a champion of that. Again, an avenue for you to be able to visit other libraries, to present best practice that is happening in key libraries, so that others can learn from you. Research for life, wow, so much. So, at some times, Kofi Annan from Ghana, he was the Secretary General of the United Nations, and he saw there was a problem because the gap between the rich and the poor countries in terms of access to scientific evidence was so much. So Kofi, using some funding from the United Nations member states organizations, using his influence to negotiate with the publishers, he was able to bring all these 5 programs, and he founded what we call Research for Life. Resources that countries, institutions from the developed world pay premium, millions of dollars to access. We are able to access them for free, or what you need is to register your institution, then you access them. Research for Life. Now, the World Bank, they have made an attempt to curate, bring together resources for librarians in the developing countries, so that you may not say, I cannot have an article, I don't have anything in my library. They are there for you to click, interact with them, save them, so that you are able to use. But remember, even if they are free, you acknowledge the source. So, like if it's an article published by a certain person, you use it, but they acknowledge the author. I think I heard something like evidence-based practice being mentioned. I'm a champion of evidence-based practice. Basically, it just means research-based practice, practice that is developed upon best practice. In the health, we tend to put the knowledge of the clinical staff, which is now knowledge of librarians as an expert, best available evidence, and the patient values. And in your case, your patients are your users, the values of users. So this is a big thing out there. And we have EBRIP, Evidence-Based Library and Information Professionals Conference. I attended one, I think in 2020 or so, no, 2018, before COVID came to disrupt us. So it's a big thing. Just keep an eye on it. And the book I've put there, hard book by Andrew Booth, the link is one that you can be able to open and you get access to that book. The conference there, you are able to click. Again, all what they require is a paragraph or two, how upon learning evidence-based practice, how you come and use it. Usually you say you come and run workshops so that as many people can get the awareness, and it will also change your practice. Then the next minute you get your ticket, your visa to Europe or America to go and share the practice with them. Then you come back, isn't it? I found this article to be of interest, evidence-based practice in education, because you are school librarians. This page, once you get my PowerPoint, you click on it, it is hyperlinked, then it will be able to take you to where that is sitting, so that you can get more imagination on how you can support your teachers, or even your own libraries, on matters pertaining to MPP. This is another one. Within our profession, the oldest association in the world is the American Library Association. So what they do, every year they run what we call International Relations Roundtable. I attended once in San Francisco. Again, you present a paper. That one, they require you go and present a paper. Like if you are presenting a paper on the changing needs of librarians and what is happening in the kind of libraries you are running, majority of them would be very interesting, because your story as key librarians, to be honest, is quite unique. So what you need to look at is the international relations roundtable, and again, opportunities will be there for you. International Association of School Librarianship. Keep an eye on that. Look at what's happening. You can check their conferences, attend, sometimes virtually. The opportunities are massive, isn't it? Huh? If I meet you somewhere, the question is, what is your international exposure? Because we are doing great stuff, but we also need that international connection, isn't it? And you should not tell me there is nothing because of funds. I've opened up opportunities. Some are available virtually, others via MOOCs, short courses, presenting in conferences. They are there for you. Now, I do know for sure there are some of us who would like to advance further their degrees and do some master's degree. We've got so many universities, locally and internationally, offering master's degree for library science, but I think I've curated only 3. I'll tell you the reason. When I studied in the UK, I studied in a university called Loughborough, and the key competitor for Loughborough as of that time was the University of Sheffield. They have one of the fantastic library schools in the UK. Now, why I curated this, their MA in library science is available virtually. That's the reason, because I do remember for sure when I attended, it costed about 1.7 million Kenya shillings. I don't pay this. What I do, whenever I want to study, I can take even a month, but I might make 20 to 30 applications, 10 scholarships, then I get 1 or 2, and off I go. So mine was full scholarship for my bachelor's, apart from a small component, master's full scholarship, my PhD 85% scholarship. Those opportunities are there waiting for you. But this one is very much affordable. That's why I put it there, because it's costing about $3,000, no pounds. And if you do it within 2 years, actually you can hit it within 5,000 pounds. And I believe that deal is good because United Kingdom and America, usually there is a fees component which is very different for the local students and international students. Because the local students, the understanding is their parents have paid taxes, so the taxpayers' money is used for their education. But the international, because the tax component is not counted, usually you are exposed to international fees. But this particular course is charging both local and international students same levels of investments, which to me is quite unusual. So it's something to think about. It's one of the top 2, top 3 best library schools in the UK. South Africa, UNISA, we have a number of graduates, maybe even from this room, from UNISA. My team where I work, I've got about 3 people who have done UNISA. Again, their fees quite affordable, virtually, and a very good program, very competitive program. University of Pretoria, again from South Africa. What I like about this university is the approach to IT. They used to run a course in partnership with MIT. A number of us attended. I checked, they are still running some competitive information science programs, full of technology, again, virtually. And that means you don't have to be distracted from your workplace, and you'll be able to earn your master's without much pay. Another opportunity is OCLC. Technology Matters. OCLC is a big name. It's a consortium which comprises of some top directors of institutions coming together to review best products in the industry and releasing them back to us. So this page is clickable. The key thing is they offer fellowship opportunities. A number of our librarians have taken advantage of them. They would go to America and other places. They pay everything. If I was young, I would put OCLC as a list of the institutions to watch in terms of what they offer. British Library. We know British Library because I do remember when I was young, studying library science, other than Library of Congress, the other big library we were being taught about was British Library. And they have an interesting international program. They call it International Library Readers Program. Again, all of my pages are clickable. You click, you see what's there, and then you take advantage of the opportunity. This one, Next Library, I got surprised when I attended it because it comes as a package for those who attend the Montesson International Library Program. But on attending, I met some Kenyans there, and some were actually coming from KNRS, and funded by Next Library. Usually they look at matters pertaining to green library space, construction of nice libraries, showcasing best library designs in the world, which kind of gives you some imagination in terms of where the profession is heading to. So the other one is Germany. Germans have not been left behind. They have some interesting courses. Even as we speak, one of my colleagues where I work is attending their leadership program in Germany, fully funded, accommodation, ticket, everything funded. But you have to write a nice personal statement and get a nice reference from your president of the Kenya Library Association. Eh? And to get that, you need to be a member, isn't it? But I write very compelling personal references, which would open the doors for you. So again, these are the kind of programs for them, and that link will give you the opportunities which are existing, most likely for 2024. So in summary, advocacy, Purity and her co-presenter were talking about advocacy, and do not leave it that advocacy is only for the KLA chair, it's for all of us. You heard about the elevator pitch. If you are to be in a lift and you meet Bill Gates for 2 minutes, what would you tell him? Other than greeting him, what would you do with your 2 minutes so that you come out with something? Isn't it? That's very important. So it's for all of us. You go out there, spread the good message about Key, about the profession, about the association, and the sky is the limit, isn't it? Are you convinced? So you appreciate me then.